all we want is people to be healthy, you know. And I think that in a world where there are so many things wrong and there is so many health problems, and it's like, let's face it, it's these big pharma companies that are pushing their drugs on people that people don't need. They do not need half the stuff they're taking.
Welcome to the Well with Cannabis podcast, a show dedicated to telling the life-changing stories of those who live well with cannabis, all while teaching you how to do the same. Meet your host, Emily Kyle, a registered dietitian nutritionist turned certified holistic cannabis practitioner. Emily changed her life for the better with the help of the cannabis plant, and now she is committed to helping others do the same. Tune in each week to hear heartwarming stories and gain the knowledge you need to feel connected, inspired, and supported on your own cannabis journey. Whether you're a new cannabis consumer or a lifetime lover, you'll benefit from these uplifting tales of real-life journeys that will show you how you too can live your best life well with cannabis.
Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share a note on potentially sensitive content. The episodes on the Well with Cannabis podcast are created for adult audiences only. We will at times cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, mental illness, sex, drugs, alcohol, psychedelics, and the obvious use of plant medicine. Explicit language may be used occasionally. Please refrain from watching or listening to the show if you're likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. The information on this show is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. If any of the content on this podcast has brought up anything for you, please reach out or speak to a professional or someone you trust. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast. And I am so excited. We have our friend Kim here today who is going to share with us her cannabis experience. And the one thing I was the most interested in is this girls' night you told me about, Kim, that you had. So I'd love to welcome you to this show and get to know a little bit more about you and how cannabis came into your life.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for having me. I actually thought you would not pick up, you would ditch it. So I had a hard time getting in. That's why I had to realize how to click in. But yeah, so I started getting back into cannabis. Well, my girlfriends, for one, we used to have girls' nights all the time. Once a month, we'd all get together and all the girls would kind of come over, and everyone kind of has their own thing. We're all very different and live in different areas, but come together because we were all friends at one point and still friends, of course. And so some of the girls would try different stuff. And I was like, nah, it's not for me. It's not, I'll just stick with my vodka and drink or whatever. And then, so then I started actually smoking a little bit, but I found it very harsh for me personally to smoke it. And even though I'm an ex-smoker, I still found it difficult. So someone suggested gummies to me, and I said, gummies, what's that, and they're like, oh, well, and they take longer to work and whatever. So one of the girls brought out her bag of gummies, because when we go to this party, anyone can bring whatever they want. Nobody is in judgment of anybody because it's a free space. So there's usually about
this. Like 10, groups of women need to do more of this. It sounds amazing.
It was. We always had a great time. There was always about 10 of us, usually, sometimes more, but the average, the regular kind of group was 10, but some people would bring friends, and we were all always okay with that as long as they understood that what's at the party stays at the party. And, we're not going home and telling our husbands about it, because the idea of us getting together was to kind of get away from the husbands.
I love it.
And just, complain or whatever. And but we always had a really good time, and we didn't land up spending our time talking about them. That's for sure. We all needed some downtime. Yes. So one of the girls introduced me to it. And the first time I tried it, I really didn't get buzz from it or whatever, or maybe I did and I just didn't know it because I was drinking. Then I tried it again, and it was trying to understand that it takes a while to kick in, right? It's not like smoking where it's immediate, where, when it's a gummy, it's totally different. Body stone versus just a 20-minute. When you're smoking, it lasts 20 minutes. When you're eating your gummy, of course, it's going to last for hours, which is awesome.
Yes.
So, and I love that because, you know, you can kind of linger and do whatever. And if you take the right dose, of course, the second time I had tried it, because the first time didn't work, I actually took 2 gummies and I was in bed the whole next day. I could not crawl out of bed. Like it hit me like a rock. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
And, but so anyhow, so going to this girl party, and then we all got talking about how, you know, it helps de-stress a lot of them. And, you know, at the end of the day, I have one of them, like she goes up into her bathroom and puts on the fan and she smokes weed. So she blows it out the fan. And she's like, I go, well, how come your husband doesn't know? And she goes, he doesn't. I said, God, weed stinks like skunk, you know, like, I mean, he must know. And she goes, well, if he does, he doesn't say anything, you know? So I'm like,
Smart
okay,
man.
good guy, you know, like, yeah, exactly. So, so then I got really, really sick and I was put on steroids and all kinds of different medications, and they were interacting with each other. And I land up with, and partly hormone therapy and stuff. So I landed up with PLC. And that was very dramatic for me. And I got it all over my body. And what it is, it's like, it kind of looks like chicken pox, actually.
Oh,
and it's all over your body,
no.
and they swell up and they bubble and they, you know, like, and you're covered and it's horrible, and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. And they kept giving me medications, but they weren't checking the medications, and I was getting sicker and sicker. I landed up with pneumonia, kidney disease, and I landed up, there was a lot of things that happened. I got burnt with ethanol not long after that, half my body. So it was just like one rolling thing after another for me for about 2 years. It just seemed like, so that's, you know, being introduced to the gummies, I started taking them more often and saying, okay, look, I have to understand these. I have to know how they're working for me and stuff, but they were the one thing working for me. So because I kept getting sicker, and when I went to the pharmacist, this was a wake up call for me. The pharmacist said to me, what are they doing? What are your doctors doing? They're prescribing you all this stuff and they're not checking anything. This could literally kill you. The steroids they're giving you, they don't even give this to like athletes, like the dose that they're giving you.
Oh,
he
my
says,
gosh.
my recommendation to you is stop taking them immediately. They're not mixing with your medication. You're getting sicker because of it. So, and this was the pharmacist that caught it. And he said,
did that scare you? Oh my gosh.
It did. It scared the crap out of me, actually.
Wow.
So what I did was I went home and I did a big, you know, think session and whatever. And I said, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. So I took myself off of everything, all the painkillers, anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxants, you name it, because my body was going through so much trauma.
Yeah.
And I started taking, first I started with the oil, because I didn't know enough about the jellies. So I started trying the CBD oil and stuff, and it was helping me, but it still wasn't doing the pain or not helping me really with the sleep, because it was just CBD oil. And even though I got it stronger and stronger, I felt like it still wasn't doing. So the one I use through experimenting and some time, and I'm still pretty new at it, because it's taken a long time to get to this point where I actually know how it's going to affect me and the dose that I can kind of take. We're in Florida now, but we're from Canada normally. So Canada, there's more flexibility with what I want and what I can get, where Florida is very limited. And so the stuff here that I get, it's not as good. So I do have to double up in some of the stuff in order for it to work. If I could make it myself here, that would be awesome, because then I could put what I needed in it instead of having to double buy everything, because I have to take double doses here. I don't find them as informative or as I would like here.
Interesting.
But
That's
in Canada, they're really informative, and I can get pretty much anything I want in Canada versus here. So it's made a difference here trying to figure out and find out what my proper dosages and stuff. But I've come to the point where now I'm off all medications, and I have that, and I take it every night. I don't take it during the day, but I do take it at night before I go to about maybe 4 hours before I go to bed, because it takes about 2 hours to kick in. Most of them take about 2 hours to kick in. So about 4 hours before I go to bed. So then I still have my time to, chill and stuff. And I sleep like a baby, and I wake up and physically my body, I'm back to exercising all the time. And I'm like, I don't have the aches and pains anymore. I mean, we are so thrilled about that. I was so thrilled. My husband couldn't believe my transformation. And he refused to take it. He wouldn't take it, but he has joint problems and stuff too. So I said to him, it didn't just clear up my autoimmune disorder, which was the PLC. It's an autoimmune disease. And, but when I was burnt with the ethanol, what was happening was the pharmacy was using the back door, selling the meds that the doctors were prescribing to me. And they were giving me Tylenol. So they doubled my dose of Tylenol, and the pain, like my whole face was burnt, half my body. So I was living on Tylenol. And when I went to see the doctor, when I went back to the burn unit, she says, now, did I give you strong enough medication, and do you need more? And I looked at her and I said, well, Tylenol doesn't really do it for me. So my friend, she was like, she had some weed and some hash and stuff, which I prefer hash. So she brought some with her. She came down to look after me because I couldn't change Band-Aids and stuff. And so she brought some down. So that really helped. And she also started getting into gummies, but she still preferred to smoke. So, which was fine. But my husband was so amazed that all of a sudden I just wasn't taking these pills, and my joints were better, and I was sleeping really well. And, and let's face it, every day we carry stress of work and everything else that's going along with everything else going on in your life. So it just calmed me. So you know what? Of course, I started meditating at the same time, and I started doing all different stuff. I had double frozen shoulder. I had so I had to work through all that, and I didn't want cortisone shots, and I didn't want anything. So really what got me through was the CBD and the THC mix for my gummies. So it's just a smaller portion of the THC, of course, because I really want the CBD, but mixed works better for me as far as sleeping and stuff. I didn't know that at first. I kept just trying the CBD, and then I said, it's just not working quite what I need it to be. So it took me a while to understand that I needed the THC in with it for it to do everything. So my husband jumped on the bandwagon, and I'm telling you, he loves this so much. He loves it. Like, he tells everyone, I go, you can't just tell everyone, you should get gummies. You should get gummies. And they're like, oh, you guys look good and you're active, whatever. He goes, oh, you should get some gummies.
It's awesome. I love it. Oh my God.
Like, oh my God, Dennis, and he goes, yeah, don't get the lower ones. He goes, in Canada, we can get the 2,000 milligram and 3,000 milligram. Well, here you can't get 0.03, or something, So he's like, they could take 2, So he runs around the park now, because we're going from place to place because we're doing RV traveling. We sold our whole house last Christmas, and we decided to hit the road. We bought a motor coach.
Look at you guys. That's awesome.
So we're traveling and we're doing drugs, and we're having a great time now.
I mean, that is so amazing. I hope anyone listening who is like, I want to be just like him. And I'm so happy, to both feel so well that you can go RVing and travel the country. I mean, that's not easy to do, but to have the energy to do it, I'm so excited for you both.
Well, it's not just the energy. I think the overall well-being, we're actually feeling healthier. And I know it sounds kind of crazy. I mean, when I'm explaining it to people, I said, you just don't understand. You don't get it.
Not until you try it.
Yeah. So there's so many people though they'll go, really? By the end of the night, we got them trying it. Like my dad's 85, okay, or 83. He's 83. And he has so much joint pain. So because I have still other like problems, I use also the creams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I can never find it anywhere. I don't even see it on your site, like creams. It's usually oils or whatever. Right. So I've been buying this cream, and it's got the CBD and THC in it. And you put that stuff on, and I'm telling you, within 15, 20 minutes, my father has been in so much pain. He barely can walk because he's hunched over because he's in so much pain, his arms, because he has frozen shoulder. And I know what it's like because I had to go through it. But he said, well, they want me to go. And I said, well, yes, I never liked the therapy, so I didn't go. I'm my therapy. Right. I'm the type of person that I want it fixed. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to figure it out. So I slowly lift weights, and I slowly did it. It took me 2 years to get rid of it. But between using the CBD with the THC and using the rub and everything else, it was amazing. And I got through it. And now I'm telling my dad, I gave him a gummy, but he actually got kind of sick from it. So I said, it's okay. I won't give you another one, but you will use this cream. Yeah. So I put the cream on him, and because I found this other lotion last year, it was just an oil, and it was okay. And it was from sage, but it's all natural, and it works for pain, but it doesn't go deep. Where the THC, CBD, it goes in deep. Okay. Yeah. I'm telling you, he's walking tall, he's walking around, and I see him like we've been going to see him. And I said to him, so how do you feel? And he says, oh my God. He says, this stuff is a miracle. Like, and he's been dealing with this pain every night. It wakes him up. Since I got him the cream, I got it for him at Christmas, and he's been using it since, and he absolutely loves it. We talked about it again yesterday, Sunday. Yesterday was Monday. Yesterday, and he's really a hard nut to crack. I hadn't seen him in 28 years. And I came down to see him. Yeah, his wife got hurt, so I came down to help look after him. But meanwhile, I'm finding out all these things with him. So I'm trying to help him figure out some of this pain. For me, CBD and the THC has worked for me so well. I'm so happy to share it with anyone that'll listen, basically, because it's just, I've met so many people and other motor coaches and stuff. They're a hoot. Of course, the people on the road are so different from your neighbors,
Yes, I bet it's so
and there's
fun.
so much, and they're so open and up to, because they know they're meeting new people all the time. It's that kind of, so it was great. I've got a few of them now that are on it. We call, even though we're not at the same places anymore. We've met up in Utah and in Arizona and places like this. And the people we met last year in Arizona, we met up with them 3 times already this year. And she's like addictive. You should see the stuff she's buying. And so she goes, come in, I want to show you all my stuff. So I'm like, really? She goes, yeah. So I go, okay. So I come in. Then she pulls out the bags of different types of CBD. She goes, well, you told me to test them to find out which ones I'm going to like the best. And I'm like, oh, you didn't have to buy out the store.
How fun. Oh my God.
And she loves it. And her husband has a lot of back pain and stuff. And, I'm around aging people all the time because young people really can't afford to do this. So you see older people all the time, and they're dealing with this pain. And I think that if I can just get them to try it, I go, if you're open to try it, I have some, it's really good, it'll help your pain and help you sleep, because so many people. So all the people though that I've talked to about it and done with them, most of them are on it now. All of them. And they're like, because why? Because we can also tell them it takes this long before it affects you and stuff like that. When you go to a store and they say stuff, it's not quite the same as someone, because they'll be a little more meticulous and detailed about how to take it, when to take it, how much to take, and then just slowly try a little piece and, you'll find your happy spot kind of thing. So, Can you see me?
It is amazing. I mean, you have improve the lives of so many people in your immediate circle just with your love of the plant. And, that's what I hope that this podcast will do ultimately, is reach even more people and listen and hear your story and say, if Kim is living this amazing life and she made her husband feel better and she made her dad feel better and she's living this great life, like I can be like Kim. And I hope everyone gets that, because it sounds like you are just living a good life now.
We are. And the thing is, I don't think we would be if we didn't, not that we wouldn't be. We've always had a good life. It's just that, again, as you get older, you have problems. I've had a lot of, I've beat up my body really bad though, because I was in landscaping. I was I was a bricklayer. So I've done lashes and nails. I mean, my group of people and whatever, it's been all over the place, but I have beat up my body. So for me, this has been a real enlightening experience. And I don't know if we could ever live without it, because it's just been such, it's just changed our lives in such a positive way. And if anyone's going through this, and to get people off actually drugs, this was my biggest thing, because I've always been a very healthy eater, very active, very, and then all these drugs, they beat you up even worse, right? You're sicker than a dog. And that, not to mention, they're not even checking the records and mixing your stuff, so that's doing harm to your body as well. And I thought, I just got to get off and get myself feeling better, and so for that, this has been amazing.
Oh, and I'm so glad that you share that with others, because it just really truly takes that story. And like you said, hearing it from someone that or that you can see yourself in or relate to, it makes it so much easier to say, maybe I should really give this a try. And maybe they could have an amazing outcome just like you have.
And I think a lot of them that I have had a good outcome, or they wouldn't have gone to the store and bought bags full. But
yes,
everyone that I've actually given one to, or given a few to, have all have come back very positive, and a lot of them are buying it. There's nobody I know that I've shared it with that isn't buying it. Even my stuck-up sister-in-law is asking questions because she tried it and she liked it. So her daughter is going to go and help her figure it out, because we're not in Canada right now. So she's going to take her to the store, which is good. I said, good, you have some bonding time. I said, you wouldn't have tried it with her, but you tried it with me, and now you like it. So have something to talk to her about, because if she didn't like it, then she wouldn't have had to share it with her, right? But if you're in your own little old people circle, or whatever you want to call it, and we all tried it, or you tried it by yourself and liked it, then it's something you can share with your kids. I've always been very open with my kids about drugs, so it was never a thing, that we've always just talked about it. And my son, when he gets something new or tries something new, he'll tell me. I mean, he did tell me a couple of times, why don't you try gummies? He goes, they're not for me. But now we've got him hooked again. We found a brand.
So nice.
He's like, oh my God. He goes, I can't believe you guys, but it was through us testing, trying them, to say, you're just not getting a good one. This is what you need to try, or whatever. And he's like, now he just had a baby last year, so of course he doesn't want to smoke anymore. So this is where I said, you might prefer the gummy. He goes, oh mom, he goes, it just, and I said, just know when. And we had this big conversation, and then he had called us after Christmas. He goes, no, I'm hooked. He goes, you found the best thing, and I'm like, good, if it's helping you, because he's the type of man that he really helps a lot with the kids and stuff. He's very hands-on, so it's wonderful. And the fact that, he carries everything on his shoulders. So he doesn't, like me at night, doesn't de-stress. So he doesn't sleep. Well, I've had insomnia for years, but don't have it with this. I actually sleep through until at least 5, which is awesome. For me, I used to be up every hour on the hour, every hour on the hour. I never slept. It was horrible. That's awful. Just having, 5 hours sleep, that's awesome. I'm just ecstatic. And it's same for my husband. He's like, so, and I think for us, again, getting back to the age thing, I think with this aging population, I think that this is where things need to go more versus and getting out of this whole drug cycle.
Yes.
The amount of drugs my father gets and his wife get like monthly is insane. I said to him, just get rid of all that shit and take some CBD. And oh, well, but it's got heart medication, whatever. And I go, yes, I get you can't do all that. But he got sick from it. So it's like, okay, you know, but he's got Crohn's, he's got everything. So, you know, it's different. But, you know, for people with pain and average trouble sleeping and pain and, you know, like just, I'm not saying it's going to do all your health problems, but for the majority of pain and sleep and stuff like that. Like I said, my dad just putting it on his arm, like he says, he feels like a new man just by rubbing this on. And he puts it on twice a day. Puts it on twice a day. And he says he can't believe how it's helped him. And just in a few months, he goes, oh, it was God sent that you came down. Because last year I was helping him when I came down. And that was when I first met him again after 28 years. And then did that and tried the other stuff because I hadn't been introduced to the cream yet. And I just happened to go to a beach and they were having this market. This is how I landed up finding the cream. There was an outdoor market in Sarasota. And we were there and there was these two older ladies and I said, oh, you got some CBD here. Okay, let me see what it is. And, you know, and so I started and I go, oh, what's this? And she says, oh, it's a cream. And, you know, it's got a little bit of a limpin in it. Like it does have a little bit. So I wouldn't even know how to do that, which I would really love to learn to make my own with the little bit of the, because there's a little bit of heat to it. So I know there's got to be something else in there. Yeah. And, I can share the name with you after if you want. So, and then you could tell me what's in it. You'll know once you see the label. You can research it for me.
Absolutely.
So that's how I found this stuff. And I became addicted to it. I don't use it as much as I have to now. When I first got it, I was using it all the time. But over time, as I've been using it, those parts of my body aren't as sore anymore. So I don't have to use it much. And yet I still keep a couple just in case whenever I travel or whenever it's in my purse or whatever. So if I get a sore hip, I rub a little on the hip. There we go. I'm good in 20 minutes, you know, and then if it's got a sore arm, just rub it there. Within, I know, a few minutes, I'm going to be fine again. And so, but it works so good. And this was like last year, I think it was probably in January when I found it on the beach and it was crazy. So when I came back here, when we were coming through Florida, I called the lady up because I didn't know, because I had taken the label off of the front of it because I was going into Canada because I had to go back home. And I was worried that if they seen CBD on it or whatever, I get busted, right? But I wanted the cream because I liked that it was working. So I ripped the tag off. So I didn't know what it was or couldn't remember, but I did have her name because I kept the bill. So and her phone number was on it. So we actually met up an hour away from each other and I met up with her and she brought me, I said, bring me a couple just in case I don't see it again.
Nice.
So yeah, so she met up with me and I got more and that's when I got one for my dad too. And you know, so this cream, if you have something like this is amazing and it really works well. And if for aging, again, I keep going back to the aging thing because I think the old people need more knowledge about it and more understanding. And if I could go around and test these products, I would. You know, just
a little sample for you, a sample for you, sample for you.
Just try with this, and this is how it's going to work, and this is how long it's going to take to work, and see how you like it. And you know what? I could probably sell the stuff in each of these places.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, we're 60 and 63, but like everybody else is much older than us. So, you know, definitely I can tell by the way they're walking, they need some.
I know. And it's a good thing.
Your joints.
It's a good thing to point out too, that cream is actually perfect for the aging population because it's not going to make you high. You don't have to worry about it. Even if there's THC in it, it doesn't give you that high like edibles or smoking does. So if anybody is listening in the older population is like, I want to try something, but I don't want to get high. What you're talking about, cream is perfect because it can help relieve pain without making you feel unwell. So there's really no, barrier to trying it.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And that's something you might want to put on your page or something that has like, because how it works is just, I can't even describe how well it works.
Yes, it's amazing.
And it truly is amazing. There are just so many people in need of it. It's like,
yes,
how do you get this across?
I know.
I mean, this is your life, right? So you're out there doing this every day, trying to market your product, but at the same time you're trying to educate us. And I think that's wonderful. I was really surprised when I came across you, actually, because I thought, oh, is she gonna get in trouble?
Yes, yeah. Oh yes,
because she's like right there, is she gonna get in trouble for this? Because I was still but I'm like, oh my God, you're like right in there and you have it. And I think it's awesome. And the fact that your husband's involved and you have no secrets. It's all perfect. It's great. And you do food and stuff too, right?
Yeah. So that's actually how we got started, was posting recipes. And I remember posting my very first cannabis recipe online. It was for cannabis brownies. And I thought to myself, am I going to get in trouble for this? And, years later, it's been seen by almost 1 million people now. And I've never gotten in trouble.
Wonderful.
Thank God.
Never gotten in trouble. Yeah, brownies are one of my favorites, actually, but they're very sneaky.
Yes, I really honestly don't trust myself with homemade edibles. I have tried, I've made every picture on my website is something I've made, so I've tried it. And I swear, sometimes I think I have the dosing just right. I did the math, I used the calculator, and there are times when it will just knock me down. And my husband every time is like, what did you eat? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I like the store-bought gummies because they are labeled. I know exactly what is in them and nothing can sneak up on me. One funny story, I thought I was being responsible and I only licked the spoon and like took a little sliver. I didn't even take like a whole teaspoon. I was making can of butter for a video. And that was it. I mean, the licking of the spoon was enough. And I had to go to my son's lacrosse game. And I'm like sitting on the couch like this. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I licked the spoon. Like, I didn't even know. And so as much as I love homemade edibles and I love that they give people so much freedom and creativity in the kitchen, I personally am not responsible enough to trust myself yet.
I wouldn't know. And that's the thing. That's what scares me too, But yeah, because I've had a couple of episodes with brownies. And
right.
just,
I think we all have had that one experience where you eaten too much.
Yeah. You don't taste that. You think, oh, that's not bad. Oh, I'll just have a second one.
Yep. And back in the day, you used to think like the cannabis taste was related to potency, so that if it didn't taste like cannabis, it must not be very potent. And I learned that is absolutely incorrect as well. That is not true. True. Mostly like the most potent stuff now has the least amount of flavor. It really can trick you.
Well, I did with my packs when I started with the packs. Yep. My son, he had told me about that, to get that. So I had bought that. And then anyhow, so what I would do is when it was empty, or when it, was finished, I opened it up and I would keep
it. Go ahead.
Keep the, all the remnants or whatever. And I put it in a bag until it would get enough that I could make brownies with that.
That's amazing.
It was crazy. They were so strong. It was nuts. My son says to me, they were good, Mom, but holy shit. And I didn't even use hardly any in it. Like, seriously, you didn't have to use
people
any,
throw that stuff away. People don't realize that they can keep it. Yeah. So if anyone's listening, a PAX, it's a dry herb vaporizer. So you vaporize, you get to enjoy your cannabis flower, but because there's no burning, the flower still exists at the end, and technically it's decarboxylated. So you can throw it in any edible you want, but be careful because it could be strong.
Oh, it sneaks up on you. It does.
It does.
But, and I didn't even know that at first. It was my cousin that had said to me, well, what are you doing with the, and I said, well, I'll throw it out. She says, don't throw it out. It's the best part. She says you can make some out. I said, seriously? She said, no. I said, done. I'll do that, So yeah, of course. And so, yeah, you got to be really careful though.
It's so nice though to have like different people in your life to talk about with, because you learn new things from other people as well. And when we're more free and open to talk about it, it just becomes so much easier to pass on like knowledge and wisdom as well.
Yeah, I think that it's been such a closed subject for so long for so many people because of society, and it wasn't legal. And I think a lot of these people, I know half these old people probably tried it in their day. They were higher than a kite, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, everyone, of course, as you grew up, you become mature, you stop all this stuff. But now that it's legalized, there's no reason to be afraid of it. And I think in their mindset, it's still illegal.
Yeah,
it's still
illegal. It still feels naughty for a lot of people.
Well, here in the States, but I don't feel that way in Canada at all.
I bet it's interesting that you have the perspective of both as well, because Canada is just so far ahead of us in the times. I'm sure you're like, what is happening here in the States?
Yeah, it is so totally different. Like, we're 6 months here, 6 months there. So, it is totally different from speaking, even the people in the stores and stuff. They're knowledgeable, don't get me wrong. Most of them are. There are some that have no knowledge, but there are those that are very knowledgeable, and those ones are usually really higher than a kite when you're talking to them. And you're going,
True.
Okay, I need this answer. And they're like, oh, try this. And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to try it all, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this, kind of thing. So my mix up still now is, what I'm still trying to understand is I get mixed up with the stevia and the indica and the, all the dip. This is where I kind of, do I need a stevia or do I need an indica or, it still kind of confuses, and I'm sure it confuses, lots of people.
Let me give you my quick thoughts on it, because back in the day, it was like, sativa is an upper, can maybe exacerbate anxiety, but for like daytime use, you want to get something done, go for a sativa. Indica, nickname Indicouch, it's going to keep you on the couch, tired, sedated, more of a body high. Now, fast forward I'm not a botanist, so I'll probably botch this a little bit, but in plant genetics, there has been so much mixing of the indica and sativa that it's almost, I hope I'm not wrong, almost impossible to find a pure indica and a pure sativa. And at this point, almost everything is a hybrid, meaning it has a little bit of both. So when you go to the store, you'll see like a sativa dominant hybrid or an indica dominant hybrid. And so for most people, again, it's about the experimenting, just like you talked about. They have to experiment with the two different kinds to see which one they prefer. So I'm more of a sativa type of girl. I prefer that upper. I like that excitement type feeling. Whereas I know a lot of people who won't even touch sativas because it feels like it exacerbates their anxiety. But ultimately, it really comes down to the strain, because each strain is going to be so different. And so I do notice like a difference between like an indica dominant strain and a sativa dominant strain, but I think there's more differences in the actual strain themselves and the differences that they have there. So I would say indica and sativa is like a very broad generalization, and then you kind of work down from there, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, that was my watch. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Can you say that one more time, but the indica?
So indica is Indicouch, generally tends to make people calm, tired, sedated, sleepy, lots of pain relief. The sativa is more of the upper, can exacerbate anxiety, but ultimately it's kind of always a mix of both, and it will depend more on the strain than anything. And so I just use them as like loose guidelines, like vegetarian and vegan. They can mean two different things depending on how specific the person wants to get into it, but it's kind of like a loose guideline. And from there, you can get down into the nitty gritty.
Right.
But so I would experiment with
hybrid. When you say hybrid,
It's a little bit
Explain
of
that a
both.
little more to me.
Basically, like if the plant had a sativa mom and an indica dad, it's going to have properties from both in the hybrid.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And so from my understanding, because again, I'm not like a grow expert by any means, but the way that cannabis breeders are able to breed different strains, they can put in some indica here and some sativa there and create like specialized strains based on what people are looking for or they think that they need. And so really it's about experimenting in trying, say you try an indica dominant strain. Does that make you feel more tired, more sedated, more calm? And then also trying a sativa dominant strain and seeing, does it make you more upper? Does it make you have more energy? Now, if the answer is no, it could be a strain difference too. So you could always try different sativa strains or different indica strains. But again, it all comes back to basically what you said of like experimenting and trying different things, because you never know how it's actually going to make you feel until you try it.
You're right, for sure. That's like, you really don't know. And that's the thing, right? When you're trying something new here, you get used to something there, and then you're coming over here and trying something new. But also in Canada, even though it's out there, you can go to the same store in a week or two and they won't have the same stuff. They'll have a different stuff. So, this is where you're having to try stuff too, because it's like they don't bring in the same stuff or they can't get it. So they're bringing in something else or, and it sounds horrible, but I do go to the Indian reserves a lot. Their prices are really cheap and they've got the best stuff.
And you might as well support them. I mean, more power to them. They deserve the right to get in the game too.
Because they carry stronger stuff than you can get elsewhere. So if you want like a stronger one, so we tend to buy the strongest one. But then what we do is, we went up to the 2000. So the next one would be 3. But what we do is they come in squares. They're called Buddha. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-mm.
And what we do is we cut it into 6 pieces.
Perfect.
Because you get 4 pieces in it for $30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 4 pieces for $30. And there's 2,000 milligrams within these 4 pieces. So what we do is we take it and we cut. So we've got extra. So we're like, okay, we'll just cut that into 4, 6. Like before we were cutting into 8, then we went to 6. I think we're down to 4, but something like that. But anyhow, so you can play with it. But they're, like I said, when you go to the reserve, I'm just saying if people are looking to save a little money, because they can be very expensive. I don't see an Indian reserve here, but the stores can be fairly pricey for what they want. Like you get 6 candies or something like that. It's like $35 or $45 or whatever. It's kind of nuts, when I know that I can get so much more in Canada for a cheaper price, but at the same time, people are looking a bit for cost. So if anyone lives near Indian Reserve, they should go there. And they're very knowledgeable and they will help you. The people there, clearly they're knowledgeable. That's their thing. That's the peace pipe came from them. So, I mean, most of the people that work in them are really knowledgeable though. And they even give you samples and, every time you go in, you get free joints. I don't smoke them. I give them to my friend because she smokes them. But I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Because
I know, like what an incentive to come on in. Like, of course I'm going over there.
Yeah, you go and that's it. And they're friendly and the price is right. And like, you can ask them any questions and they know. And you can, they'll let you try stuff right so there,
nice. That's
so
awesome.
it's like, so, I mean, if you are looking for, cost efficiency and a lot of knowledge, they do have it. It's not like a lot of these places are hiring people in these cannabis stores. There's a lot of people that I know, like their drugs and understand their drugs and stuff, but they don't, not all of them have the knowledge, like some of them are just hired and you go in and because we've been to enough of them to know, and you're asking them questions and they don't have a clue. They're like, oh, well, no, but just try it and you'll see. Well, just try it, I know, but I'm asking the question for, just a sec, I'm going to call my boss or I'm going to, stuff like this where I've never, ever run into that in any of the Indian reserves I've ever been to or whatever. They just seem to know their stuff. But,
such great advice, because I feel like a lot of people either don't know that they exist or are operating that way or are too nervous to go in. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah, they shouldn't be nervous to go in. These stores are amazing. You should see them. They've got every type of drink you can think of that's got they've got like these big, and some of them are really nice. They've got these big fridge. We actually did some signage. We were also in the marketing business. So we did a lot of signage for some of them in Oka in Canada. We helped set their store up, and like the organization and the money. I mean, there are those dumpy ones along the side too,
right?
But they're just as smart. I've had to stop at those, but they are still as smart, and it's informative and very nice. Like I've never had a problem with them not being nice, but
I'm so glad.
They're nice people, and it is a good tip if you are trying to save money.
That's a great
and you
tip.
Want to ask questions. I mean, they're not shy about answering. I don't feel as awkward as I do going into a regular store for some reason. They actually just make you feel right at home.
That's so
and
nice.
That's why I guess, hence, here, you want to try some?
Absolutely.
They're always, pushing their new drinks and all that. So they leave, like they have sample cups out so you can try samples and, stuff like that. So, it's not bad. But
it's like an adult candy store. Like who wouldn't want to go?
It is. That's what it looks like when you go in too. It's like, wow.
Oh, I know. And you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so beautiful and exciting. Well, I know.
The thing is, you want to try everything, right? And you're like,
that's the thing. Like
so much here.
Yeah, it's just so exciting to see like so many different options, especially if, coming from an era where there was literally no store you could ever go to, and now you can go get anything you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just health-wise, it's made the world a difference to me. The world a difference. I mean, the fact that, I'm not on any medications anymore. It's just CBD before I go to bed, and then my cream if I need it. But like I said, I used it for a while on that spot that was always sore, but now I don't even feel that sore anymore. You know what I mean? It's slowly
amazing.
It has subsided,
I'm so happy.
And then it's like, oh my God, now I have all this extra cream that I don't need, but I have like just in case. But I mean, like, I'm just saying I bought it because it was working well and I figured I'd have to keep using it. But over time, you don't have to. It subsides almost. I don't know. It's like this miracle drug or something. I don't know.
I mean, really, if it can not only help you feel better, but also like alleviate it without side effects, without any negative consequences, like that's a miracle.
It is, and it's your doctors are such drug pushers, and if they should be pushing anything, it should be natural remedies, not all this other crap that they give to us that is actually hurting us more. I mean, you watch those commercials, like it's like you insane.
Oh my God, some of the side effects.
But you could just die tomorrow from all the things that it's going to cause, and I'm like,
it's crazy. And I mean, they say it right in front of your face to you and you still take it. Like, it's so crazy to me.
Because you feel you don't have an option. And that's the problem. People don't think they have an option. And, I've always been that person, like, I want to dig deeper. There's got to be a better way, kind of thing. My daughter's just like me. She's a real naturopath. So she's like, digging deep to try to find stuff. And I mean, I tell her about the stuff I try because I go a little further because I want to know. Right. And I want to try it. I'm just curious. So I want to try it. I'll try everything at least once. And that'll give me my answer, kind of thing. So I'm not like shy to try something. I'll say, well, okay, let's give it a little try and see, if it's going to work or not. I'll know right away if it's going to be good for me or not. It's not like I don't know my body. I know my body very well. And I think in general, most people know their body. I say if any drug within 10 days is doing something to your body, you shouldn't be on it, and within 10 days, 7 to 10 days, if it's working or if it's not working or if it's affecting your body. So of course, I don't have to say anything because I'm off all my drugs because I know most of the time it's not like I've tried different things. Don't get me wrong. I've tried all kinds of natural things, but they never work for me the way this does. Never. I mean, I'm so I'm just happy to share with everyone because it's helped me and my husband so much, you know, and even my dad, like being so old and he's been in pain for years. And now he's like, oh my God, he goes, I can't believe it. He goes, but I know if I miss it, but it's okay. I make sure I put it on. And I said, well, you got to make sure you got to rub it on. He goes, well, I get my wife to, I go, stop being lazy and do it yourself. He goes, I wake up sometimes at 2:30, it's worn off because she forgot to put it on me before I went to bed. I said, well, put it beside your bed and just rub a little on your arm. He goes, well, she normally does it. I said, Dad, come on, you know, you can do it. If you want to feel better, you'll go back to sleep once the pain subsides, right? Anyhow, so he's old, so he's fun. Yeah, he's cute. Funny, but he knows it's helping him.
Yes.
You know, so and the fact that he even mentioned anything, because my father, I don't know, as I've gotten to know him, I remember when he was young, when I was young, and he's the same kind of guy. He says he's not, but he is. He's difficult to talk to, but he's very hard-headed. And getting him to change, and he'll never tell you if something is good or working. Like he's just that kind of guy. And the fact that he said something to me this Sunday, because I said to him, has the cream been working, Dad? And I said, you really haven't said a lot. He goes, oh my God. And then he went on and on and on. And I said, well, so I said to his wife, I said, I can't believe he actually talked about it and went, oh my God, it is so. He goes, look, I'm walking tall again. I'm like, you know, and I said, yeah, it's fabulous. He goes, I put it on every morning and every night. He says, it's wonderful. And I said, oh, I'm glad to hear it. So when I said that to his wife, she goes, no, I know, I put it on him and he does. It helps him a lot. And I said, he's walking straight. She says, yeah, he's walking tall because he was always in pain. So he's hunched over holding his arms all the time. But now he's walking tall, he's not in pain. And I'm telling you, anyone that's in pain, they should be using a cream or, you know, and for sleep, I really do think the CBD and THC works. CBD alone does not work. You need to have a little bit of THC in it for it to actually give you the full benefit. And it took me a while to learn that. It was an expensive lesson, but I did learn it. I did learn it. So,
I'm glad you mentioned it because it's a good learning curve for people. Like you really need the THC to hit pain.
Yeah, which I didn't know. I always thought, you know, someone told me CBD. So that's what I was just going from people throwing things out going, okay, there's got to be something here, you know, with this stuff, you know? So, So just a bit of THC in there and that'll help them. But anyhow.
THC will do ya.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been such a wonderful conversation. It sounds like, so before I move in, we talked about this a little bit. I ask all my guests the same 4 questions at the end, and you had already mentioned like what your life might look like without cannabis. So I'm going to skip that one, but we'll move on to the first one if you're ready. And the first one is, what are you most proud of in your life to date?
What am I most proud of in my life to date? Well, of course, my children. You have to say that.
Yes.
I love my children, and they're amazing. So I would say my children. Yeah.
That is so nice. And to have their support as you and your husband move along in this, that's so special too.
Yeah. I think if you talk to your kids from a young age and you don't never hide anything, I think that's really important that you have good communication with your children. Also, I was an early childhood educator for 23 years. Wow. And so I never, I've done a lot of things, trust me. But I also, you know, I think it's important. And I always had good communication I didn't teach young children that, of course, but I had good, always would, when I got together with the parents and stuff, we'd have good forums, how to talk to your kids about stuff and how to, you know, so it was, kids. So your next question.
Kids. Amazing. If you could go back 10, 20, or 30 years ago and just give yourself one piece of cannabis advice, what would it be?
Oh my God, it would be doing what I'm doing now. I mean, I would, if I would have had these gummies, the CBD with a little bit of THC, my life would have been very different at times. And I think I was very nervous about trying it at first, you know. Yeah. But I think actually it would have chilled me out, not been such a stressed out mom. I wouldn't have been so stressed. Well, mind you, I ran a daycare and I ran, so I was busy all the time. I didn't have, but it would have been nice just to have a gummy before bed like I have now, just to chill you out, because your mind, you're overthinking when you're younger and you're running a family and whatever. You need to chill. My oldest daughter right now is going through breast cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know it's horrible, but she's got great spirits and she's going through, but I got her on the gummies before I left. She was going in the summer. We went down to help her out and stuff, and she wasn't taking anything. So I said, you're coming with me. We're going to the Indian Reserve. We're going to fix you up. And so she came with us, and we talked with the people there and whatever, and we got some stuff and tried it. And I'm telling you, her mindset, everything totally changed. She said, oh my God. She goes, I'm so glad that you guys got me. And she goes, now she's been back, I don't know how many times since there. And she sends me a text. Oh, I tried some of this, or I tried this one's good. They didn't have the one from the last time. So this one was, but she said she can't have it right after chemo, like for 2 days after chemo. But then after that, she takes it and she just, it's totally, it helps her sleep, it helps her get through, and it gives her a better mindset,
Yes,
and I'm really glad that we introduced it to her, and that now she's on another one.
I know you guys, all the family members.
Just saying, with her cancer and everything, it's really been helping her mentally and stuff. So she's more chill and not as much anxiety.
Oh, that's like priceless, going through something like that too. I mean, what a gift to have your mom be like, I've got something to help you, come with me. Like, I'm so glad that she had you for that, because I mean, that's got to be hard enough to go through. And if there's something that can help in any type of way, like, thank goodness she was introduced to that.
Yeah, I think the same, because I know, like you, I get so emotional with her, and the fact that we left, we were there to help her at first, but then, I said, we're leaving now, because that's what we do, so, but we helped her for like 6 months, and she wasn't at the beginning of her treatment when we were there. We refixed her 140-year-old farmhouse. So we went to help her renovate it. So we went to help renovate, build a chicken coop, do all that kind of stuff. And so during that, we knew that she was starting her chemo and everything. So she started her chemo 2 weeks before we left. But we made sure that she knew the right gummies and everything to buy. And that's why we took her in the summer to the county. I said, you come with me. We're going to make sure you're okay and whatever. So even though that she had some of the stuff, it gave her the opportunity now that she's gone back. She understood it before, like starting now she's in full fledged of the chemo and everything. But she knew enough to go back and see them and ask them other questions for something a bit stronger and whatnot, because of what she's going through. So, so, I mean, she's, she's, it's helped. So
good.
I forget what
I'm so glad. Like you said, even just a little bit of relief. I mean, everybody deserves that. And I'm so glad that she got, her mom to help her out.
Well, yeah, her mom and her dad. Her dad.
Yes, her mom and her dad. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, you literally are taking like family member after family member and just making such a difference. And I feel like that's what so many of us in cannabis do, is we have just been so opened to the fact that there is just a different way of life that is so beautiful and wonderful, that we like have to share it with other people. And, that's why I'm so glad that you came here and did this podcast with me, because hopefully these words will just make, echo their way out into the world and get people to realize, like, wow, like, I could feel as good as Kim and her dad and her husband and everybody else in her family. Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think it's important that people like at least give it a try if they aren't doing well or whatever, because the benefits behind it are really greater than the benefits of the drugs. There's no side effects like there is in the actual pills that they're giving you, that you have every disease after you took those drugs. So I mean, it's just a healthier choice, and it's just teaching people that it's a healthier choice for them. And if they can get themselves off that medication, what would you do to get yourself off medication? Like, seriously, would you rather be happy and have one of these before you go to bed? And it actually continues to work the next day, because you don't have the joint pain and everything like you would normally have we don't have it. Because like I said with the cream, once your body gets used to having something, you don't need as much of it,
Yes.
I do want more of it, but I don't, you know what I mean? I don't,
yes. Yeah,
it's almost like it's programmed in your body. You're having it, but I mean, it's continued to keep satisfying you, that the fact that even if I forgot it, say I went somewhere and I forgot my gummies, I try not to, but if I went somewhere like for the night is what I'm saying, and I forgot it, I still don't have a terrible time falling asleep. I will wake up maybe 1 or 2, but I'd still be okay to sleep. Because it just, and like I said, it's not just for the sleep, it's your joint pain. It's helping everything, and you don't realize it, but when you're sleeping, your body is actually healing itself. So when you have this, I think it's just energizing your body and it's healing you, because we wake up in the morning, we used to barely be able to, our knees were so bad getting out of bed from jumping up and down off tractors and what have you, and our ankles, a lot of people have swelling of the ankles and stuff. Swelling's gone. I walk normal. My knees, I jump out of bed. I feel like I'm still young. And I was going through a lot of stuff. I went through a lot of trauma. My body went through a lot of trauma, and it helped recover my body. So that's huge. Okay. Really huge. And to share that with people and tell them, you know what, just try it and see, find the right dose. And I'm telling you, and start by just taking half. And if you found that, didn't do too much, okay, maybe tomorrow night you're going to have the other half, or another quarter instead of another half, just practice, and then just figure out that right dose that's going to help you. And if you have it on a regular basis, I'm telling you, it's healing. It's really healing. It just, I can go on. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, you get so excited about it. And I guess that will fit perfectly into our last question is, what do you want to be remembered for in the cannabis space?
I think just opening up, again, I'm going to get back to the aging population, because I really do think older people need to have their eyes opened up a little bit to realize that it is safe. It's not safe. It's a safe thing. You can rub it into your body if you don't want to eat it, but I'm telling you, it's going to work for you. But don't be afraid to try it. Try small amounts and work it. The cream, well, the stronger the better for me.
Really? Yeah, totally.
But I mean, it works like nothing else. I mean, I can't even describe how well it works. I mean, and I know a lot of people make it themselves. I don't know how to make it. I'd love to learn how to make it.
I can help you with that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I would love to learn how to make it. My husband's always saying, learn how to make it. I go, I don't even know the first thing how to make it. I just, but he says, well, you should learn how to make it. I said, yeah. And then I'd want to give it to everybody.
Right? Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, try what I made.
Little bottles. I'd be having little sample bottles. Yes. Here, try it. Anyhow. Yeah. So yeah, I think just helping people and elderly with their pain to realize that you don't need medications like you think you do. You don't. Like if I'm right off of it, like I said, I was on 6 different pills and I'm not on anything, so if it's helped me that much, I mean, and I was on some of those pills for years with my fibromyalgia and all the different things that I have. I don't need nothing. I'm in good shape now. I exercise and dance every day. It just changed my life. It's changed my life, and all for the better.
I'm so happy that you took the time to share that. I know your whole family has benefited from the plant, and I'm so proud that you just decided to give it a try and see what happens. And like you said, just give it a try, and you've done it the right way. And now you're helping so many other people, Kim. I am so glad that our paths crossed, and I'm really excited for people to hear this episode. I hope that they listen to, your amazing story, your family's story, and really think wow, I want to be just like Kim.
Well, no one has to be just like me. They just have to be like them and find the right thing for them. And that's the thing, you know, if you can encourage that. And I love that you're doing this. You're amazing. I love your site, of course, and I get your emails and stuff. And the thing is just helping people, giving them that knowledge that you have been. I mean, that's amazing in itself too. I mean, you know, and I think there's not a lot of people like you out there.
Oh,
I don't think so, you know, so I think that's a real big accomplishment for you. And I think that, you know, just the information you give and everything, it's just so helpful. And you have a lot of stuff to read, which can be overwhelming a little bit, but at the same time, very informative. You take a little bit by stride and then you wait a little on it and then take a little by stride.
Yes,
but I mean,
absolutely.
It's great because you do have something for everyone on your site. You're very flexible. I love that about it. And so it's great. Kudos to you and for doing it without being scared.
Thank you. I definitely was scared when I started, and it gets easier every day. And as we have these conversations and I continue to have these conversations, it gets easier and easier. And hopefully when people listen to these conversations, it's easier for them to have conversations in their own families, their own households. And hopefully it's just a big ripple effect. That's my goal anyway, at the end of this.
And that would be something to be very proud of, because that's all we want is people to be healthy, you know. And I think that in a world where there are so many things wrong and there is so many health problems and you know, and it's like, let's face it, it's these big pharma companies that are pushing their drugs on people that people don't need. They do not need half the stuff they're taking, you know, and they're killing people, I think, because they're like, the doctors did to me, prescribing me stuff that I should have not had. And it's my pharmacist, thank God, that had caught it. And it was the good wake up call, you know, the fact that the other doctor didn't even look to see what other medications I was taking with them was, you know, beyond comprehensible at the time, you know. So
gosh, even now still, I mean, it's heartbreaking. And
they're doing it all the time.
I was just going to say, it's so sad that your story is not uncommon. I think that's what makes me the most sad about it, is so many people have been betrayed by our current medical system in one way or another, and just story after story. And, you know, thank God, because I think that's what brings people to cannabis, is finally big pharma pushes them so far that they're like, okay, but it's just sad that there's story after story, just like yours. And, you know, I hope for anyone listening who's experienced some form of mistreatment from conventional medicine can trust themselves a little bit to jump into cannabis and kind of take it into their own hands.
Yeah. And anyone that has fibromyalgia, speaking of fibromyalgia, I want to say it works very well for that. You know, again,
it's one of the best for fibromyalgia.
Well, again, it's like, again, I have like the nerve and whatever. So it, like I said, when you're using it on a regular basis, it's almost like your joints start working by themselves again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because it's lubricating or something's not, but I mean, it is in some way, because when I first started taking it, I still was taking my other medication until I felt to get off of it. And then I got off of it. I'm saying, hey, this is cool. I don't need it anymore. You know, all the money I'm saving, not to mention all the stuff that's going in my body that I don't have to worry about anymore. You know, so I have a gummy a day, you know, well worth it, right?
Oh my gosh, a gummy a day. That's all it takes. And you and your husband are living proof that that's all it takes. You're living your best life. You're out on the road. You've got amazing children. I'm just so happy for you, Kim.
Yeah, thank you. And that, it's pretty good.
I'm so glad. I mean, that's how life should be. People should be happy to say, you know, life is good. And for a lot of people, it's hard to say that. So for you to come out here and say that, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I have a feeling everyone is going to love listening to this episode.
I hope so. And if, you know, just edit it or do whatever you need to do.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. You've finished another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast. and are one step closer to discovering how you too can live well with cannabis. Thank you for listening in today. We hope this episode has been a helpful and informative one. Please visit EmilyKyleNutrition.com for more information on today's show notes, guest information, recipes, and other resources. If you want more support and encouragement on your cannabis journey, please consider joining the private Well with Cannabis community. In this group, you can connect with like-minded individuals focused on improving their health and wellness through cannabis. Join the group today to continue your journey of wellness together at EmilyKyleNutrition.com.